Let's talk books. We've made some progress in our study of Greek, and before too long we will need to be thinking about two particular categories of books that will be important in the future: dictionary and the Greek text. Because the dictionary will be required in some ways a little bit sooner than the actual reading the Bible, let's talk about dictionaries first. And in a sense, we could categorize dictionaries on two levels: simple, basic, but perhaps limited, and more sophisticated and complex. So let's look at the simple ones first of all, okay? Because I'm mean, rather than scavenging around and getting copies of all these dictionaries and showing you holding them up, I will show you photos. But let's have a look. The first book to show you, I think, will be the Greek lexicon. In theory, I'm going to show you the simple first, but actually I'm going to end up mixing them all up. So let me tell you that, first of all, the current standard academic complete lexicon of the New Testament is basically a work that was created many, many years ago by a German called Walter Bauer, but it's now in its 4th edition and was edited by an American called Frederick Danker. And that's a Greek-English lexicon of the New Testament. Here it is. Greek-English lexicon of the New Testament and early Christian literature. This is an excellent book. It's very complete, gives you quite a lot of information. It's very nicely printed. There is only one practical problem, and that is that it costs nearly £120. In the longer term, it is worth having a very good dictionary, even if you do have to pay a significant amount of money for it. It depends on how much use you're going to make of it. £120 sounds a lot, but if you're using it a lot and you're getting a lot of benefit out of it, you soon recoup the value. If, on the other hand, you are only going to tinker a little bit with Greek, then yes, you don't need to. And in fact, the same guy has produced, not that one, we won't show you that one. He has produced a concise Greek-English dictionary. Oh, there we are. I thought I did have it. Concise Greek-English lexicon of the New Testament. So that's based on his full work, but that will be a lot more basic. It won't give quite so much detail, but it will still be quite acceptable. Now, that's still not cheap. I looked recently at prices on amazon.co.uk just to give me an idea of price. Obviously, that will vary. You may find a bargain. It may go up in price. But at the point at which I looked, that was £47.50, and you pay another £5 for postage, so 50 quid. So still not cheap by any means, but cheaper than the full version. They are specifically targeted at the Greek of the New Testament, as is another dictionary that I looked at, and it's called the Compact Greek-English Lexicon. So another one. And this is in fact cheaper. This is £22 and a bit if you buy the hardback edition, plus another £5 postage. It's only £15 plus a bit of postage if you buy the paperback. It does have to be said that if you're going to use it a lot again, getting the hardback is probably a good investment, because it will get banged about a bit, but you can make your decision. So you can basically get yourself a simple basic dictionary for as little as £15, or you can go to the other extreme and get yourself a really good dictionary for £120. If you speak French, and for those who are watching this who are French, there are actually a couple of good alternatives in French. There's first of all a very small, it's a very slimline dictionary. You can hardly see anything there. It's actually more blue than black, very dark blue. But this is the Dictionnaire grec-français du Nouveau Testament, and it will lay you back this grand sum of €8 plus any postage. Dictionnaire grec-français du Nouveau Testament. I tell you what, I'll put the titles down here if I can get around to it. Now, there is in fact a more sophisticated French dictionary, still not hugely expensive when you compare the prices that we've been looking at, and this is the Le Grand Bailey. This is actually not just for biblical Greek, but for classical, ancient Greek generally. So that's a really good purchase at €46 plus a bit of postage. €46. So those are the two French options. So it's good to know that there are both basic and serious French dictionaries as well. Just to complete the story on dictionaries, if you are really going to push the boat out, and there's a possibility that you will go beyond the New Testament and start looking at some other classical works, then Liddell and Scott produced the seminal Greek-English lexicon, the full lexicon. And you do need to be careful with all of these that you're getting the recent version and you're getting the full version, because they all come with sort of cut down versions. And the full version of this one will cost you £230. So we are talking about a serious purchase here. But it is excellent, and it does cover biblical Greek as well. So you will get the biblical information in there if you decide to spread your wings and get something really, really extensive. There is in fact an abridged version there, and again, as I say, it looks exactly the same and uses the same title, but there is a abridged version, and I've used it. Well, I used what was called the intermediate version. I couldn't find that now. I think the abridged version is the modern name for it. Again, you have to be careful about versions. Again, you look at dates. You want something with a reasonably recent date. I think it was the 1990s that it was last produced, and that's only £24, and it does cover the whole of the biblical, from memory, the intermediate version, and all the biblical terms as well. Whether it's as up to date, whether it gives you as much information as you could do with, is another matter. But it's good. I think that was for a paperback version that it was as cheap as £24. So quite a variety there. As I say, I will provide the words, so as I speak you'll see the words and you can make a note of what takes your fancy, or you can have a look around, or indeed simply do a search on Amazon or Google generally for New Testament Greek. If you do a search for New Testament Greek dictionary, but also do a search for New Testament Greek lexicon, and use the word lexicon, because that's the kind of posh academic word. In terms of the actual Bible, there are the definitive Bible is produced by the German Bible Society, and it's always referred to in the Latin for some obscure reason. So it's the Novum Testamentum Graecae. And you'll see that this gives the number 28. That yellow band around it is actually a paper cover that comes off. So the full thing is really just that kind of very dark blue. Now you'll notice that one says it's with dictionary. you can buy versions with dictionary and you can buy versions with just the Bible. You would think that perhaps getting it with the dictionary gives you a little bit of extra benefit. And in fact, the version with the dictionary I found was £54. So for £54 plus again postage, you're getting both the New Testament and the dictionary, which sounds a bit of a saving. But I should tell you that the dictionary is fairly basic. And one commentator fairly sensibly actually said it's not so useful because you're reading the text, you have to flip to the back to get the dictionary, then you go back to the text, then you go back to the dictionary. So it's actually quite a faffle. And arguably you're better off keeping the dictionary separate from the actual text so that you can refer to both of them at the same time. You can also buy the straight Novum Testamentum Graeci. I found one which has got an FL beside it. I'm not quite sure whether that means it's the pucker version. And that one only cost 30 quid plus postage. Just so that you know, here's the version as it is. You can see it doesn't have flashes on it, but check that you get the edition 28 if you can. 27, the one that came before, is not that different, and you might find a copy of that considerably cheaper, I don't know, and in which case you save some money. But be careful with all of these. You know, you may find versions, you may find dictionaries that are cheaper, you may find versions of the New Testament that are cheaper, but there are some pretty duff stuff. There's some pretty duff stuff out there. There's certainly a lot of dictionaries that are not very good and not very precise. Beware of Strongs. In some ways it's very good. It's something that a lot of Christians swear by, a lot of Christians use, and it's very accessible. It's been produced very, very well, but it's not a good translation, and there's a lot of errors in it, so do be careful. It's worth mentioning that there are also quite a lot of electronic copies, both of the text and even of dictionaries around. They're not up to date. The text will come from old text. There's Westcott and Hort, which was a very credible text, and there's a Bible Society text, which is very good, but still not up to date, and you need to be aware of that. So there's nothing wrong with using the electronic version, especially if you are happy working with a computer, but it doesn't replace the need for an up-to-date paper version. And with the dictionaries, you can actually find copies of the dictionaries I've talked about. I'm not sure how legal they are, but you can get them. Or indeed you can get other dictionaries, and how good they are, I don't know. You can certainly get online versions of the dictionary that are very good. You can get online Liddell and Scott. I find that a little bit unsatisfying because you can't take it with you when you travel and things like that, but it's possible. So that's my summary of the books that you need to think about. I will perhaps do something specific on the electronic information as well. There is a third category, which is commentaries. And that's a whole different ball game, and there are different levels of commentary as well. But you also need to start thinking about reading commentaries that will help you with the Greek, that will actually give you insights into the Greek and will give you a clue when you're not sure about how to interpret a passage, or where there's several possible interpretations as to what the arguments have been, this way, that way, and where general opinion sort of falls. You can also get concordances, but they're a little bit more specialised, so we won't worry too much about that. So that's some suggestions and some ideas anyway. And a good time for Christmas, so you can put them on your Christmas list. All right, so all the best, and look forward to seeing you at the next video.